Welcome, Vols and Lady Vols, to Power Tea Talk. From the Cathedral of Neyland Stadium to the fanatical landscape of college sports, we're breaking down the plays, the players, and the pride of the Southland. I'm Daniel, your host, here with my comrade and co-host, Zach. Grab your orange and white. Let's run through the tea. It's time to give our all for Tennessee. This is Power Tea Talk. The BasketVols are looking great if we ignore the games that we didn't talk about in the meantime.
You know, after Thanksgiving, we all hit a rut in our personal lives, I think. Everyone's like, got a month of work left. Holidays are coming up, so a lot of people take 2 weeks or a week and a half off. And, Thanksgiving, got a bunch of turkey in you, and so you're just kind of lethargic. And that's how I think Tennessee has approached it. Just, after Thanksgiving, just kind of maybe be a little lethargic, try and work things out. And they got back together. It was not fun being on a 3-game losing streak and then going 10 days without a game.
It was so it's amazing how much one game can swing it on this stuff, because I think if they would have lost to Louisville, then we just would have been like we'll check back when we find our footing in the SEC. We'll see, not even that we wouldn't have talked about it, but I just think we would have been like, clearly there's all sorts of things that need to get adjusted. Whereas now I think we're like, okay, they looked a little bit how we expected them to. Not only did they beat Louisville, but I think they looked the way we expected it to happen. You have like Akpara making a big slam. You have Carey just crash on the boards like crazy. You have Gillespie putting up points. Like, it's some of the stuff we previewed, and now we're circling back to it. It puts such a better taste in your mouth, because then you look back at like a weird tournament where the matchups and the result were strange. And then Syracuse was such a close game on the road. And then Illinois is, I think, better than people realize. And so it's just one of those things where it was so nice to get off the skid. There's still some stuff to be worried about in general, but it was nice to get off the skid.
The Kansas game was completely understandable, even though they didn't have Peterson and had a couple guys in foul trouble. They hit some threes, and they bought into their own hype and didn't play defense. Barnes had the fantastic quote of, last year's team doesn't win the Houston game, but last year's team also would have beaten Kansas, so it kind of was a wash. Yep. It was a nice Barnes quote there. The Syracuse ones, when I started to get worried, I was like, that's not a good team. And they looked, other than Carey, it was ugly. No one showed up. And then Illinois just pulled away in the last 5 minutes. And that Illinois team is really good. I would not be surprised if that's a Final Four team. Underwood always seems to have a great offense, really good offensive coach. Kind of the guy I mentioned before Barnes was hired. That's who I wanted. He wasn't quite as famous yet, but he's been a very good coach. And then they get right back against Louisville, who's great. Pat Kelsey made an ass of himself a couple times, it felt like, during that game. So kind of also was nice to get that win over him. And overall, I think they're fine. That's a tough stretch. Even Syracuse isn't that good. That's still on the road in New York. And I know people are going to roll their eyes. It's snowing, right? It's weird Tuesday game. So they could have won that game. Just a couple calls go their way or a couple buckets, right? So wasn't too worried. But if they had lost to Louisville, just a completely different tone of the podcast, right?
Yeah, and then now they have, again, some of those kind of get right games coming up, and then SEC slate starts. Sorry, guys. The next big game is at Arkansas, which it feels like we were just talking about how far off that is when we were doing the preview, and suddenly we're going to pay a visit to Coach Cal and kind of see what they're made of. I think right now they're sitting there. They're very clearly not, as they're playing right now, as they've played in this recent stretch, in that upper echelon, because I think there are some teams around the country. I think of Michigan, I think of Duke, that have put themselves in, you kind of have to talk about them as extremely good teams right now. The what you see on the court and the record, there's a tier right there. And then there's a tier break and maybe even another tier break before you get to Tennessee. But we know these things come to equilibrium a little bit. It's not to say we're going to be number 3 in the country by the end of it all with that SEC slate, but if you're hanging around top 17, you know, you got this wackadoodle tournament that anything can happen in. And I think if we find our footing the way we did against Louisville, we're in that anything can happen category still.
I think this team can absolutely be better in March than they are right now. And I don't think that's a wild assumption. So we just talked about how many newcomers they have this year, right? Like just a ton. I think it was 8 overall. You mentioned they're trying to build an offense through a true freshman with an ankle that seems to be affecting his play. They lose their best defender. I think it's fair to say Cade was their best overall defender. Maybe Akpar a little more impactful. Maybe Bishop has an argument for that, but they lose Cade, but they bring in Carey. The Gillespie is a ball dominant guard, which can take some time to adjust to, especially with how Barnes has run his offense through connect and linear. That's a completely different style. The defensive numbers are still good. They're 12th in the country in adjusted efficiency. We use KenPom.com, by the way. Shout out to Ken Pomeroy for amazing 25 years. They're 12th in adjusted efficiency defensively. You look at the numbers; they're number 1 in offensive rebounding in the entire country. So the effort's not an issue. Just some things here and there you look at, you go, okay, can they hit enough threes? And the percentage isn't a disaster, but they don't shoot enough. So they've lost a couple of games. The Kansas one where the 3-point disparity was just too much to overcome. Illinois was kind of the same way. So I think this team, they beat Houston, and you're thinking, God, it's a Final Four team, especially with how well Ament and Gillespie were playing. And then they hit this rut, and it's like, okay, maybe they came back down to earth a little bit. Kind of a weaker schedule to start before the Houston game. Looking at all the newcomers and everything, trying to figure out. I mean, I still don't know if Barnes fully knows what his big man rotation is, other than I'm going to play Phillips 20, 25 minutes a night because he just plays hard, and then that's gone. So you're dealing with that. You're trying to get Gillespie involved. You're trying to run the offense through a true freshman with a bad ankle. It's a combination of things. Overall, though, they played Gardner-Webb and South Carolina State, who was 362 and 363 in the KenPom ratings. I think there's only 365 Division I basketball teams, if I'm not mistaken. So get those 2 games, end December on a strong note, and then go into SEC play.
I'm excited about it. I think it's at that point where, because that tournament was so weird, and then because there was such a big gap, admittedly, like, it was just a little bit off my radar. I was like, yeah, gosh, like, this was a bummer. After the Houston game was so exciting, and the Kansas game was a bummer in the second half. And then it was just like, let's see when they get off the skid. Now that we're like, the bowls are going to be sporadic, the matchups are so weird, college basketball is going to rise a little bit. And so I think as we hit January 3rd and we're playing at Arkansas, and you got you find the pattern of when the games are happening during SEC play, it's going to be back to like, let's have some knockdown dragouts. And again, if you're going to ask a team to do anything, Barnes is always going to push defense, but they're going to hit the boards too. And on so many of these games, that's going to keep them in it no matter what. And then if you find a hot shooter, you're right there.
I think you can also just look at one particular stat and say, oh, yeah, this is a brand new team. I haven't looked at numbers. Barnes' team this year is 257th in turnover percentage, 18.8%. That is not a Rick Barnes staple. And that's definitely a big difference when you had Zakai running point for, 4 years. It's a little bit of an adjustment. And I think that's a great part of it there. It's a good thing that I kind of looking at it now, and we kind of were like, oh, the November schedule's so weak until the players there at a tournament. And then you think, that might have been a good thing. Maybe Rick knew kind of what he was doing. Jeff Goodman, sometimes there are plans to these things that just don't, just want to throw that out.
It's a long season. It's a long season. And then, I mean, again, you got teams like Illinois that feel like, oh gosh, that should have been a win for us. But I mean, Illinois is like one of the 3 teams on Michigan's schedule that could beat them. Like, Illinois is like, I'm looking at Michigan's schedule right now. I'm not saying they'll run the slate or anything, but late in the season at Illinois is going to be one of those like, has Michigan lost yet? That team looks great, and Illinois is one of those teams that'll be like, we'll knock them off, and then we'll head to the Big Ten tournament. Like, we have not been playing scrubs recently, and so I'm still just as excited about the team, even if, admittedly, the Ament stuff, and then just not feeling like I have a handle, like you said, on the big man rotation. It just doesn't all feel familiar yet, but we should have expected that with how different this team is going to look based on the contributors last year.
And I might be excuse making. You just wonder if Ament doesn't hurt his ankle. I personally, just watching his film in high school, and I'm not a basketball scout, I want to make that clear. There was way more explosiveness in his high school film than he has shown. And I think the ankle is truly bothering him. Now, the question is, they built this offense around him and Gillespie. There hasn't quite been the adjustment. It felt like maybe the last couple days they've done that. You know, he's 4-14 against Illinois, and it's like, man, this could be, are we in big trouble? And then against Louisville, he dialed it back a little bit, right? He goes, you know, I think it was 4 of 9 or somewhere around that, 5 of 11. So it's getting better, like working a little bit more within the margins. And then Gillespie, if he plays like he did against Louisville, when I was watching that, you know, looking back at highlights and stuff, they're going to win a lot of games, right? I mean, you get 23 and 5 from your point guard, get 10 free throw attempts, you're in great shape. You know, Carey had a great game as well. And, you know, whatever you want to say about Boswell, I know he's not going to be offense, but man, he was everywhere. So
he fills the stat sheet. He's like,
yes, he does. I mean, 3 rebounds, 3. He's way better passer than I thought he would be. I mean, just really good ball movement guy. The biggest concern is is this the lack of shooting that we talked about?
I agree with you. You talked about it in the preview. When I've been watching, I've been like, there's times
they
where
miss a stretch 4.
Yes, our best bet at an outside shot is like a like a fadeaway dagger from Gillespie, and that's not sustainable.
Right, or Ament in the corner, like that.
And he's got a little touch from there. That's nice to see, but it's a different way of attacking.
Well, and so they bring in Milicic last year, and I thought Milicic was a little disappointing, but overall, teams respected him. There's kind of the theory of the shot making. Yes, you want guys to hit shots, but what's just as important is that teams are scared you'll hit the shot. You'll see some teams in the NBA where it's like, well, that guy shoots 36% on a couple attempts a game. Why didn't he shoot more? And then you watch and you're like, oh, there's no one within 12 feet of him because they care about the guy driving the ball way more. They'll live with that 36% shooter with no one within 10 feet. So I think with Milicic, his gravity really opened things up last year. And they are missing that because I thought Estrella could do it, but he's been injured. Like, he played 9 minutes last night. I don't think Barnes trusts him defensively. Akpara, like, it's fun, but it's not real. and I think,
the same thing. Yeah.
And God bless Jalen Carey. I love seeing a guy who goes, no, I know that is not my game. I'm going to go stick my ass in the paint. So I appreciate that. But the idea was we have these 5 big men who are all going to play with Dwayne Brown coming in and giving good minutes. And so we're going to stick him in at the 3. And it's just like, I don't want to say Carey per se, because Carey's good. It's like, if they had gotten one more wing and committed to net at the 4, could this offense potentially look different?
The way that the bigs are rotating right now, it really does rely on some guards just straight up knocking down shots. And we have one that does that.
Right.
But he also seems like he really likes doing that off the dribble instead. And so the inside out isn't perfectly complementary right now. These are all like, everything here is figure outable, but it is going to require just somebody knocking some stuff down.
Well, I think guys got to shoot more. Like, Ethan Berg's taken 17 threes this year. He's hit 8 of them. That's 47%. Like, brother, shoot some more. You know, Bishop Boswell, 7 of 14. Get up 3 of them a game. It's fine. Like, I understand we want to post up, and that's good, but we've got to get what's happening, and Ament's really struggling with this, is teams are just not respecting the gravity of Tennessee's shooters unless it's Jacoby. And what happens is when Ament's driving, specifically him, they're just corralling around him. And he's not advanced enough as a passer to be able to find open guys right now. Like, he's got some skill in that department, but it's just not where he is as a player, which is fine. So to me, if we got to get guys to these next couple games to, like, I would tell Bishop Oswald, you're taking 7 threes against Gardner Webb. Ethan, I want you putting up 5 threes against Gardner Webb. I want Amari Abram, he's not, he's only taken 25. I mean, in 11 games, he needs to be up at 3 or 4 per game and at least open the driving lanes. Teams respect it more. And yeah, they're not always going to go in. Yeah, I'm sure Bishop will go 0 for 4, 0 for 5 for one game. But if teams have to respect it, then that's going to make the offense better in March.
And it's kind of that theory of, like, there is a certain point, I think of stolen bases in the major leagues. There's a certain point of efficiency where, like, almost no matter what, if we're at a 79% clip here, we're good. Like, it is efficient to do this if we're, for this player or for this team, at a 79% clip. And so if we say, like, for our guards, if we are at a 41% clip or a 39% clip, we're good no matter what. It's like, okay, Boswell and a couple others, if you're shooting 45 to 52%, shoot until you're at 41%. Like, if you're over that percentage, if you stay over it, great. But if you come down a little bit, it's the volume that actually is the answer for us. And, this gets into, like, just the whole game of, like, chucking up threes, and every game seems to come down to who just got a little hot that night and things like that, which I don't love as, like, a product on the basketball court, but it's a way to think about it. Like, Boswell, if you spend the entire season shooting low volume 50%, we probably would have been better off if you were higher volume 42%.
And I'm not asking, let's go Alabama, Nick Notes, like paint or 3. Like, that's just not going to happen with this team, and that's perfectly fine. But they're shooting 35% from 3. That's 123rd in the country, which for a Barnes team, pre-connected, pre-linear, I was actually praying for those type of numbers. So
yeah.
But when you're 276 in 3-point attempts at field goal made, so only 34.6% of their shots are threes. Like, that is really not good. Like, that cannot happen. What's even funnier is Tennessee has a high assist percent rate. So you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, they're actually, like, putting up, like, they're passing the ball pretty well. They're getting decent looks at twos and stuff like that. But I guess my overall point would be, if you're going to shoot 35% from 3 and you're going to be 276 in volume, then you can't be 54.1% from 2, which is 110th in the country.
Yeah.
That can't happen. You can't be 191st in free throw rate either. Like, those are two things that's just not going to lead to highly successful basketball. You can win games like that. You can make the tournament like that. You can win a tournament game like that. But if you want to make a Final Four, that kind of distribution's not going to work.
Yeah, I think that's well put. And I think, again, matching kind of the statistics with what we see on the court, there have absolutely been times, and I think it happened in that second half against Kansas a little bit, where it's not that the shots aren't there, it's that they're passing up shots. Like, they are not pulling the trigger. And this is no longer like grinding tape kind of thing. But with college basketball, sometimes it's like, sometimes you just need a dagger. And when you pass up the 6 opportunities you have for a dagger and you're not shooting well when you run the full offense, and again, I still think these are all things that the rhythm of it is going to look a lot different in a couple months.
Right. No, I agree. And if Ament starts hitting more of them, and he's at 30.5% right now, if he gets at the 35, which I don't think is impossible for him, then that will change some stuff too, because then teams will stop playing off him as much, and that will open up the driving lanes. But poor Jacoby on some of these lanes, there's nowhere to work. Ethan Berg, who's not the most athletic dude to ever exist, is having the same problem. Like, he'll get into the lane and it's 4 bodies there. it's always been a Barnes thing, right? Like, other than the last 2 years, they did not take a lot of threes. He has smartly adjusted to that, and I'm sure he understands these numbers. He's a very smart guy. He's a very good coach. It's just, when are we going to see it now? We're kind of past the first couple games. Like, at some point, guys have got to just start putting daggers, as you said, and we'll live with the consequences. If you're taking 25 threes a game instead of 18, and even if you only hit one or two more, that could be the difference in taking a bad Jalen Carey shot clock violation, or a 13-footer by Gillespie with two guys on him.
Yeah, I think you said the thing I was going to follow up with. If this goes up a little bit, if this percentage goes up a little bit, if people are pulling the trigger a little more, there's going to be a couple ugly ones. There's going to be that road game, could be at Arkansas, where it's just they're not falling and we are pulling the trigger a lot and we're not getting as many rebounds as we thought we would. And suddenly it's like a 17-point game. It's going to happen with this SEC slate.
The other thing I would mention is opponents are shooting 28.6% on threes against Tennessee, but they're taking 45.1% of their shots at three. So that's 316th in the country. And Tennessee's 24th in three-point defense. As we get into SEC play, that 3-point percentage is going to go up because you're going to play better teams more consistently. Exactly. So now you're going to be playing even a bigger hole potentially if you're in a situation where that number is going, that number gets to 33% and it's average. I mean, Tennessee's a very good defensive team, so they might keep them at a good rate, but it's not going to be 28.6% the whole year.
No, it's not. And so there are yellow flags, I would say. Like, there are things to be worried about from the little downturn after Thanksgiving, but not things that should put us out on this team. I mean, you and I are, especially with a roster like this and the long season, like you and I are the pictures of patience on this stuff. I don't know exactly how fans are reacting, across the board, but I think it's worth keeping in mind that, like, just see where they go from here. Don't have every bad moment be like, oh, we're back in Syracuse. Oh, we're back in the second half of Kansas. Try to think of these games independently because the team is hopefully growing a lot, especially during this stretch where they played less and practiced more and then have a couple easier games. This is the time where the growth happens. And so if we come out flat in January for half of a half, it doesn't mean that we're just suddenly stuck in Kansas second half mode. It just happens.
Do you want to do the Stephen A. this dude has got to step up rant on Ament?
I don't. And it's partially because I think he's part of what he's trying to do is step up. And I think you're
right.
Like, I think I've seen some moments where it's like he can't quite decide if he wants to try and make like almost a artistic fadeaway type shot coming in the lane, or if he wants to power through and hope he gets the call coming in the lane. And he does a 25% version of both, and he doesn't get the call, and it's not as cool of a shot as he could have done, and he doesn't take advantage of his length. And so I don't think it's pressing so much as just like figuring it out. But there have been a couple of moments where I'm like, dude, you had the option. Like, if you go strong, they're probably going to foul you. And if you decide you're not going to do that, you probably could have gotten a better shot than that, and you wound up somewhere in the middle, and that's not going to work against bigger dudes.
Doesn't know, not to try and sound too hip, he doesn't know what his bag is yet.
Yeah.
And I think about a guy who I've kind of fallen in love with watching NBA's Con Knipple.
Yep.
That guy knows where every shot he needs to shoot on the floor and how the guy is defending it. It's a natural thing and partially natural and partly developed. Like, that's a guy that when you watch, you're like, okay, that guy has 13 moves and he knows how to exploit and use each one. Ament does not know his bag yet. And that's okay. He's very young and he's very talented. It's like, okay, can he develop a little, and I'm going to use a piston, like a Cade Cunningham little drop hook that he can he develop something like that? Is there he's a little tall for a floater, but is there something like that? Can he perfect a little fadeaway jumper, a little pop and stop, maybe develop a bank shot? If he can figure that out, with the next 3 weeks or next 2 weeks before they start getting the conference play. Just a couple of moves that he can rely on. I think that would really help him.
Yeah.
And I think getting healthier. Like if Rick just came out and was like, he's not playing the next 2 days, next 2 games, I would not be opposed to that.
I think
Because
that
I think he's hurt. I think he's playing hurt.
I was going to say earlier, I wonder if he plays, and it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't, especially because like you got to figure out this big man rotation otherwise, and so let him get some run,
Well,
and
and
then
that would also benefit other players. Like now
yes,
Bishop has to take those shots. Now Amari Abram has to take more shots. Maybe Troy Henderson finds a groove. Ethan finds a groove. Like that would also be pretty beneficial as well than just Gillespie and Ament. Not Hagen, but taking 50% of the possessions because that's what they're doing right now. It's
yeah,
58% of the possessions end with them right now. That's a lot for 2
that's a
guys.
whole lot, and again, that I like him, but that's a lot, and then I think there will be a game. We'll see, but I could see a game where you have a sequence where it's like a mint from the corner for 3, a mint from the corner, pump fake, comes in, shoots a little baby hook, a mint gets it in the mid post, and then pump fakes, and then goes up strong and gets an and one. Like, just I know he's dying for that sequence. Once that stuff starts to happen, he's going to be hard to guard. Once that stuff starts to happen, it just hasn't all come together in like even half yet. And that's not me knocking him. It's just hard. I mean, he's a lot smaller than some of these more experienced guys, and so he's got to figure out find his way a little bit.
And we're still in small sample size territory as well. We've played 11 games, which in college basketball is a lot because it's college basketball. And there's incredible how we look for every single penny we get. And I'm like, these guys can't play 45 regular season games, but I digress. If he hits 5 more twos, he's 41 of 85. Oh, that's almost 50% of your twos. That's good. If he hits 5 more threes, he's 20 of 49. Oh my God. That's 40%. 6'10 shooter at 40%. That's top 5 right there. So that's also where you're still playing a little bit of the individual small sample size game where he's a 10 for 13 game away from those numbers normalizing and stabilizing a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited to see kind of how he finds his way over the next little bit. And again, across the country, it's just been fun to see some teams that frankly look really, really flipping good. And it makes you wary of when they pop up on the schedule, especially around tournament time. But it's still really nice to see some teams that are just like coming together and look kind of awesome.
The last thing I'll say, and I'm at risk because of the era we live in now. The non-Ament freshmen, Brown, Henderson, and Evans, if they stay and develop, could be awesome. Like those guys all bring a really good skill set that I like. Like Evans, you can see is a Meshack clone with more offensive upside. You see some of the shot, like some of the Henderson more early in the year than later, but like Barnes has brought him in a couple times to try just to get a microwave. I really like him. And then Brown has a chance to be like, I'm trying to temper it, but there's been a few times I'm like, that was kind of Grant Williams-esque there, So even last night, he didn't score, but he still made a huge impact on the other stuff. So that is something also to look forward to, even if this Tennessee team doesn't make a Final Four. I think those 3 guys, and then you add Boswell as a sophomore who seems like a 4-year kid at Tennessee. Like that could be a lot of fun moving forward next year.
A lot of guys who are not afraid to stick their nose in it, which you love on a Barnes team. And those guys,
and it's
those
a
guys
Barnes
are going to
staple.
matter. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
So we'll see. We'll do a check-in in January. We'll see kind of how the slate is rolling out. And then for now, I think we want to talk a little bit about kind of summing up the Vol season. And then, I mean, it feels strange, and we're still going to preview the bowl next week and kind of get everybody ready for what that's going to look like, best we can tell, based on who's going to play, et cetera. But I think it's worth looking back on the season a little bit. But we're going to do it from an interesting lens. We're going to talk about some of our favorite moments from the season. But then we're going to kind of quickly shift to what we're going to call a holiday wish list. It's kind of that time of year, and we're entering silly roster season in a really big way. Doesn't mean that all these answers are going to come from the portal, but just in general, what does it look like for how we take another step next time? And so I'll kick it to you first. And this is the one season favorite that we're going to do because I think the Vandy games left such a bad taste in our mouth that we forgot about any fun moment for the season, frankly. And so for you, what was your favorite moment of the season? It can be a play, it can be a team thing, it can be a player thing, but your favorite moment of the season.
Third touchdown versus Georgia, man. That was the one, the Brazel. They run the little fake over the middle. Joey throws a laser. Brazel catches it. Makes a contested catch, 21-7. You're like, oh, man, we've got it. We got it solved. That was probably my favorite play of the year. I think looking back, of course, that game is just like, man, what happens if they – we it was funny because we were pulling up. I was looking at the box score because I was like, the Brazel one, I wanted to confirm it was the third touchdown. I knew that was my favorite play. I just had to confirm it was either a second or third touchdown. And I'm like, man, we put up 41 on Kirby, and you just dropped an F-bomb. Just like,
yeah,
I was
I can't even believe it. I mean, they're a team that sitting here right now, it wouldn't shock me at all if they went and played in the national title game.
No, absolutely.
And we essentially did whatever we wanted against them.
Offensively, yes. I mean, the two picks were just, could have called PI and Brandon Staley slipped.
Yeah.
But that was my favorite play. I would say, too, just the Joey success story was great. And I think there's been a little bit like, because he might come back for a 6th year, like, oh, is he actually that good or whatnot? And I don't really care. Like, I just think of like, if he doesn't come to Tennessee, like, what a disaster.
Oh my God.
This would have been. Like, this is probably a 5-win team, maybe. And they pulled, top 15 offense. I would say, too, just overall arching point, I would say favorite thing is that Heupel changed the offense and it was still deadly. Like, that is a huge thing that A, he was willing to do it, and B, that it worked.
I think it's Joey's, again, it seems kind of less and less likely that he's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just seems like it's veering that direction a little bit, and we'll talk about other options when the time comes. I think it's going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit with how we do this as fans. The season ended in a really disappointing way, in a really big bummer way. There were times during the season where he threw costly interception. The Oklahoma game swung a little bit on him being a little bit careless with the ball. There's one side of the ball had the coordinator get replaced. I don't know. There are a lot of versions of this. There are a lot of versions of any Tennessee team or any football team, especially in the SEC, that if they could sign up for the offense we had this year, they would do it every single time now and forever.
Absolutely.
The only reason people are frustrated is because I think people have so much faith in Heupel and so much faith in the assistants on that side that they're like, go, 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 go. We can do even better. And maybe that's true. But my goodness, people, sometimes you got to pause and remember what you thought was going to happen coming into the season. And we were in the same boat where, I had some kind of biased faith in Joey more than others from him being at App State. But, we were at a point in the preseason where a lot of fans didn't think we had anybody to catch the ball. And we wound up with one of the best offenses in the country. And nobody wanted to see it. And so, I don't know. I think that I hope it doesn't get lost in the shuffle in that way, because the reason this season has this taste in his mouth is because of the defense, frankly. For me, the play of the year for me, and, the path that this team took later in the years, it makes it funny. But the thing that stands out above all else to me this season is the 73-yarder to Braylon Staley against Syracuse, where we went heavy personnel, we went heavy protect. Joey drops back. And for me at that point, our perceptions of what the season was going to look like swing a lot on what happens with that deep pass. We went through a whole season last year where attacking down the field was an afterthought. The only attacking down the field that we did was like desperation throws moving towards the sideline, or Dante Thornton being really, really, really fast. And the reason we're down the field is because he took a slant there. How pretty that deep ball was, how it fell perfectly in Staley's hands, a little preview of Joey being willing to attack, and really what we maybe didn't realize at the time was a preview of Staley being an absolute dog for the whole season and being freshman of the year in the SEC. That kind of sums up what the fun parts of the season were to me. And there are all sorts of fun Brazel moments. There's fun Bishop moments. Props to all those guys. But when it was, all right, let it rip, and it fell right into his hands, and suddenly like we're off to the races with Heupel attacking downfield again, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And I think as we think about a quarterback that could properly feed these receivers heading into next year and what that looks like, boy, I hope that's part of it. I can't go back to a world where we're not attacking downfield again in this offense. It's too fun when we're attacking like that.
Yeah, it's the other part too I'd mention is protection was great on that play. Of course, they max protected, but it was still awesome. It does feel like, Halsley got an extension. Pope got an extension. Now, I feel it was pretty earned. I know Halsley, it's like, there's been some kickback on, well, he doesn't call plays, but I think Heupel does need him for game playing purposes and everything. And I think Heupel wants to call plays. I don't think it's has to. And it's possible maybe next year, now that they've installed this offense differently, he goes back to Halsley and feels more comfortable. He probably didn't want to take that chance implementing new stuff and not be the play caller. So I think it's a good one on Staley. I would say another play, the Bishop touchdown run against Mississippi State was really awesome. That was up there as well. And then another one I would say is the Staley Oklahoma touchdown, breaking the two tackles. And it's like, oh, hey, we're back in it, so we took the lead in there. So those were some other ones that I was thinking of too.
Yeah. And then I want to think about a wish list. I want us to put together, we don't have to go crazy on this, but just like a reasonable wish list of like weird season in terms of like how we felt about the roster at the beginning versus halfway versus what we really learned about the defense by the end of the season. So we'll start with offense because we've been on that with our favorite play. If you had a holiday wish list item for the offense, thinking about next season and beyond, what would it be on your radar?
A true NFL starting running back talent. Like that would be, I think about Sampson, who was excellent last year. I'm not taking anything, but right now I think he's the third back for Cleveland.
He's also he's the youngest player in the NFL as well.
Correct. So I just think if they had, I don't like Omarion Hampton, for example.
Yeah.
Who's had injuries, but you can tell is going to be a very good running back. I didn't want to say like Jahmyr Gibbs. That just seems little unfair.
You can't say like Jeremiah Love.
Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. It's a little unfair there. But they had like Omarion Hampton type player at the running back spot. Just a guy that can break one at any time, can turn 2 yards into 5 every play. And I thought Deshaun was really good this year, and I thought Starr was underutilized. I agree with all of that, but it's just, what if they had a Sampson but better, almost, in this offense? Would that have changed and helped out some of the defense? Because there were times it was like 2nd and 6, we run the ball, and it's like, oh, there's the hole, but, Bishop got tripped up, or, Starr just couldn't break that one tackle. They had a true game changer at that position. I think with what we've seen with the wide receivers and the offensive line, I think it changes moving forward as well, what the offense's ceiling is.
There were a couple times this year where the backs turned 27-yard runs into 7-yard runs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even a knock. It's just we want that other level. And last year you had Sampson turning 3-yard losses into 27-yard runs. And so, yeah, there was just a couple moments this year where you like, I don't know, you're on the couch watching and you're like, ugh, and it's just they get tripped up. And it happened over and over. And so, like we said, it doesn't have to be Jeremiah Love. It doesn't have to be a Heisman contender right away. I actually want to still see the variety in the passing attack. And so I don't want it to turn back into just feed a back. But if we're going to feed it back, because Heupel likes to do that and we're good at it, frankly, let's have it be Bishop and somebody who can bust the game open. And when you look at the schedule next year, we're going to need some explosives beyond just the drop back game, depending on who the quarterback is. And so I like that one. I think for me, if I had, go ahead.
Just to reiterate the point, I don't think we would say Deshaun Bishop's a top 5 back in the SEC, right? Like, I think he's above average. Would probably be the correct way to put it. I think you could say above average SEC back. 75 touches, 1,110 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6.3 yards per touch. Like, that's real. Those are awesome numbers. And it's like, he's above average. Like, imagine if you had the number 4 back in the country in this offense. All of a sudden now it's like 220 for 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns potentially.
And the play action game got so fun this year that it would only get better with that kind of stuff. And it would probably make Bishop better too, because you put him in just moments where he can be successful. I'm going to say for next year, I want my holiday wish list item is for the offensive line to be better next year than it was this year. And there's a very easy path to that, in my opinion. It's for the line to stay intact. It's for people to still be around. It's for people not to leave. So like
it is Austin Price season, baby.
I know. So the first step there is just like, I don't want them to go. Like, let's keep a good thing and just let them improve. And if the tackles flip, or if we need a little bit more internal help, or it comes from in the program already, like, I'm fine with that. But the line was good other than a couple of protection lapses, not talent lapses, but protection lapses this year. And so if you think about them getting even better, we're going to need it, because we're going to have a different quarterback back there, I think, almost no matter what. And so let's protect the heck out of them. But if we want this run game to be back to, like, not hoping it can be good, but knowing it can be good, that's the ticket there, I think. And so maybe it's a boring answer, but if the line is better next year than it was this year, we're in a good place automatically, in my opinion.
I do not make the salary cap decisions. I'm sorry, the NIL decisions.
Sure.
At the University of Tennessee's football program. And I do not know Lance Hurd or David Sanders. And I would tell them this whole left tackle thing, which is a rumor, is dumb. You guys can both get paid in the NFL. Sanders doesn't have any reason to. Like, he can't go pro for another 2 years. If all you have to do is be like, hey, David, you're going to play right tackle in 26, and then we'll move you to left tackle in 27. I don't understand why this would be an issue other than ego. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. And I would think, too, if it's such a big deal for Hurd, he can just go pro. Like, he would get drafted. And he's a good pass protector, but where he really thrives is run. So right tackle guard seems like the better long-term
pretty
fit
darn
anyway.
Good at it. Yeah.
He would be great at it. Now, again, you're talking about people and players that they don't hear that from us, right? They hear you could be the best left tackle in the country, even if it's not true. But I would just tell David, like, hey, we make you a promise now. You're going to be 27. Here's an extra whatever to satisfy right tackle this year, and let's just keep it as is. And you're right. We're talking about returning 5 starters next year with an offensive line that was really good. Like, you're talking like, could this be one of the 5, 6, 7 best offensive lines next year? And that doesn't even consider David Sanders was really, I mean, his shoulder was bothering him all year. Like, how many games did he go down with the shoulder injury, right? You get another year of weight room, Perry and Umarov. We know Mo is very solid. Pendleton, if he can just like not snap the ball incorrectly, is
Yeah.
pretty good. So you're right, absolutely. Like this has a chance to be a top 10. And Ellerby's done a pretty good job, and I think this group could really change games for them next year if they bring the 5 back.
Yeah, and we did the growing pains a couple years ago where there wasn't an answer at one of the tackle positions, and Hurd hadn't come along yet, and he wasn't as locked in as we wanted him to be. Let us reap the benefits of that. Like we talked about this with the quarterback position, and I was like, just let us have a guy who like struggles one year and then progresses the next year. We've actually seen that with the offensive line, and so let us reap the ultimate benefits of that, and have them go out there and I don't know. It's one of those things where like a lot of times the opponents don't realize quite how good the offensive line is until you are, you cross the 200-yard threshold on the ground, and then suddenly it's like, oh gosh, they really just beat us up front all day. I really want to do that to teams next year, and so I hope we can. The other one on the offense that if I had to do another one, it would be let's continue to get Ethan Davis just as involved as we were.
That's a good one too.
As we're losing Brazel, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and we still have a lot of promise at the wide receiver position, let's not let the dynamism of potential dynamism of Ethan Davis just like go to waste. Tight end position in the pass game got a little weird this year, but I hope that it can be more part of it next year.
He's the guy I want to hear about in spring practice.
Yes, like he's the one who can be a freak in terms of size, strength, and hands. What about defense? What's your wish?
So we're trying to make it as realistic as
we can't say like give me Eric Berry and Todd Kelly Jr. in the back.
Yeah, exactly. I think getting a game-wrecking defensive tackle, and you could say end, but I think Tennessee has enough talent where that group next year can do a good job. I'm worried about the interior next year. I think with Moy and Bailey and Easton all going, there's a big hole there. And if they could find someone in a transfer portal, I don't have a name off the top of my head, but they can get a guy who's like all conference first team, guy who's got some potential first round pick at defensive tackle. I really think that would change the defense and their ceiling next year. They just got nothing from the interior, and it really affected them. And in getting somebody who can create and break down a pocket on third down, who can also, beat a gap up and get to a guy on 1st and 10, go 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, would completely help out Knowles in year one.
And frankly, I mean, it continued into this year for Ohio State, so it's not like it was just a Knowles thing, but the sleeper part of that defense at Ohio State last year and the past couple of years is that they have D tackles that are dogs. Like they have guys coming off the edge that are super athletic and obviously really good, like loaded roster, whatever. But the real sleeper candidate is like when you try to do your little outside run, there's a 297-pound guy holding on to you already. And so we really need that pop from the interior defensive line that we missed so much this year when you think about Omar Norman Lott last year as the guy who affected games so much.
Who is good, but it's not like he's Aaron Donald, right? I mean, you're talking
again, we still needed just that level of good.
Yeah, exactly. How much better is this defense with Norman Law and Omari Thomas?
I know.
Like, you're talking and maybe 2 wins. I mean, that's probably worth 2 wins right there, just having those 2 guys in 2025 compared to what happened this year. And I know Moy got hurt and Hobbs never was healthy. I totally get that, but they got to find better production from that.
For me, it's going to be so my pie in the sky dream is that we can speed up the learning curve on the defensive scheme. But I almost think that's not allowed. Like, I think that's one of those ones that, like, of course that'd be great, but there's a very clear pattern, and even players and analysts saying it like this just takes a second. I want the second level of defense, just the linebackers, to be hard to block instead of easy to block. And the most frustrating times I can ever remember with watching Tennessee defenses, I mean, there's times where we were trying to set edges that never got set for, what felt like 5 years in a row. But the most frustrating thing is when you see guys go and find the offensive lineman. And it's like they're like trying to fill a scheme, they're trying to fill a gap, they're trying to be in the right place, but they're just like it's the number of years that I've had to watch whatever our linebacker was go and gently get hands on an offensive lineman, almost like he was trying to find the puller. And then we play a Saban Bama defense, and the linebackers have absolutely no interest in being blocked at all day. It's just such a different feel. And I just want, whether it's Portal, whether it's Perlotti, whether it's a combination of both, give me some feel at the linebacker position that the worst thing in the world that could happen to them is for them to be blocked for that play. Because when you look at the really good defenses, and when you look at the NFL, the guys who make plays at the second level, because linebackers are always tentative in the NFL now. You're either making plays or you're the bullseye. The guys who make plays are the guys who it is an absolute insult to them that you would get hands on them. And we did not have that this year at all.
See ball, follow ball, hit guy with ball.
Yeah.
Like that should be everything preached to the linebackers in 2026.
Yeah, and we just were so far from it. And again, there were times where we occupied space, but not in a dynamic way at all. In a way of like, okay, I'm here, but if you manage to be 4 feet here, you're good because I'm here. And it was over. And again, not even talking about being in the wrong spot, which happened its own fair share. But the number of times where T-Lander felt like he almost did the right thing, but really what he did was just be in a space with no second step. Like he didn't follow through and make the play. I can't have it anymore. I really can't. And I mean, the same thing's going to happen if we still play that way.
If we can just get these guys to play instinctive and not on their heels, play on your toes, not on your heels, I think that'd be a huge success for Knowles. Because I don't think they're going to be hitting the transfer portal a ton on the linebacker spot.
No, I think they're going to,
especially with Carter
hope
leaving,
it gets cleaned up in-house.
Well, and yeah, and Carter's going to be gone. So that leads us to our next segment.
Yeah. Do you have any other wishes in general at all?
I would say Danny White. I don't know. I know the schedule is difficult. Bye week on Halloween's tough, brother.
I know.
You could have made it work.
Throw your weight around a little.
Yeah, put your foot down.
I mean, it means we're going to
we lost this past year, but dark mode is still, that was a building tradition that I think Tennessee fans were really looking forward to. I don't like that there's a bye week.
That's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one I'm going to whisper is that I think we need to find a kicker.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Arnold's going into the spring with the secured number one.
Yeah. So we'll see. And I don't want to think about it until we have to think about it again. So
the problem with Arnold is I don't think practice is the issue.
I know. Gosh. So we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah.
We only have more big games. So thinking about players leaving, we had a few guys that we kind of thought would. But maybe one surprise. I don't think it surprised you and I, but I think it probably surprised some ball fans. Who's leaving? Who were you surprised by? And then where do you see them fitting elsewhere or in the draft?
A little surprised Carter left.
I just think that I think
he got good feedback.
He got really good feedback. And I think he's also one that he has decent stuff on tape. He's actually a very physical guy. There's a chance he even tests okay. That the defense being Swiss cheese was so not on Carter. And I think that if you pop on the tape and you're thinking about, okay, do I think this guy can play linebacker in the league? Your answer is yes, and I know these other guys can't play linebacker in the league.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the feedback comes from.
it's also a little different because it used to be if you got a promise of even the 6th round pre-transfer portal era, pre-NIL era, you went, right? Like
Yeah.
if you got a day 3 promise, you were gone. And nowadays, guys can be a little bit more judicial. So if like someone tells Carter, like, hey, you got like a 6th round grade, which I don't think is true, but if
I could
that's
see
what the
4th or
feedback
5th,
is.
though.
I mean, I think it wouldn't shock me if someone took him late 3rd round.
Yeah.
But, if he got back like, hey, you're a 6th round pick, like you need to go back to school, like you can because of NIL, like you're not losing money in insurance policies and everything that. So I think he probably got day 2 grade, 4th rounder talk, first to day 1. I don't quite see a good starter in the NFL or maybe an every down starter. I think like 3rd linebacker, special team guy who plays base 40% of the time is probably what his future is.
Does he remind you of anybody? That's a hard question, the way he plays, but
yeah, I'm trying to think. Here's the other problem is like nobody plays base anymore.
I know.
But
Let me
there's
say
not a
this.
lot of 3rd linebackers that immediately pop in my head.
I'll throw shade at this guy because it's fun to anyway. I watch Henry To'oTo'o play every week. He's better than him.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
And so, like, in terms of like fitting up the run game, this is not the right comparison, but like a very physical, like I will go make these tackles, Denzel Perryman type who sticks around for a while wouldn't shock me.
Kevin Burnett had a really solid NFL career. Burnett was a better college player. But like that kind of guy, like 3rd linebacker, special teamers, 8-year career, I could absolutely see that for Arian. I just don't think the pass coverage is good enough for him to be an every down linebacker.
No, it's sure Sean McVay wants him to be in at linebacker is what we'll say.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else leaving that we know of? There's one heartbreaking one, obviously.
Yeah, Brazel's gone. Unsurprising.
That's
I think
like
everyone kind of expected
good
that.
job by you, buddy.
Good. I mean, we went from like, yeah, is he going to start to, oh, hey, he was he could have won the Biletnikoff this year. I think he's got a chance to be an NFL starter. Awesome year from him. Really impressive how much improvement we saw in 2025. I don't quite see 1st round. Just
That'd
don't be hard. I don't think it's impossible. I absolutely think he's a 2nd rounder. Great size and catch radius, can high jump the ball, some route running ability, much improved. Not a yak guy. I think that's where the 1st round thing, like a lot of these 1st round NFL picks now are like, what can you do after the catch? And he hasn't shown that yet. That limits his ceiling. And just with the frame, like if he plays a 6'2" corner, can he get off the line successfully? But I see him as like an overqualified number 3, solid number 2. I'm thinking like Christian Watson. Just a guy. I think Watson's a little faster. I think Brazel's a little taller. So like just a guy who can absolutely burn a corner, who can get by a safety and go get the ball 50, 60 yards down the field. Like I think I like what Buffalo could do with him. Just like they don't have a deep threat right now. I'm just like, hey, go run routes, go run flies for 3 hours, Chris, we'll find you, 3 times. So I think he could do something like that. If he can be a little better in the yak and if he runs around a little bit better, then you start talking a little higher ceiling. Like, hey, this guy's a really good number 2. But him having a good career, not even a great career, a good career would be really beneficial for Tennessee because I'm really tired of the narrative that Josh Heupel can't develop wide receivers. It's like, oh, yeah, Jalen Hyatt was a mid 3-star and a 3rd round pick. God forbid that didn't work out in the NFL. That proves he can't make NFL wide receivers work. So I like what Brazel can bring. I think Matthews and Staley both have higher ceilings, but I absolutely think Chris can have a really solid NFL career.
Yeah, I can't believe Jalen Hyatt didn't work out with as good a quarterback play he's been in New York.
Yeah, that too.
The other thing with Brazel, this isn't a prediction, but he's a long strider. Like he opens up. So maybe I could see him popping in the 40 more than people expect. And so maybe he gets a little momentum that way, but he's a very specific type of receiver. Like he's not gadgety. He's not, and again, these teams have not had success with these, but a lot of the teams in the late, like in the 20s, they like to draft like this guy's going to get reverses and this guy's going to get, he's not that type of guy. And so we'll see. But I mean, again, like you mentioned the Bills, Keon Coleman has floundered in a lot of ways this year as the guy who they wanted to be that type of target or that go up and get it type of guy. Browser could totally fill that role for multiple teams. And he's one that I'll be very excited about. Like, I feel like the Dante Thornton hype kind of got let down a little bit because that offense has been absolutely awful this year.
Yeah.
That's not his fault by any means. And so I'm very excited for, like, maybe he finds a little bit of his footing and then Brazel finds his footing early on. I'm very excited for that one. And then the other player that we lost is, and I think we expected this as well, is Merck is in the portal.
Yep, backup quarterback has left. I just don't understand.
Makes the New Mexico State game make even less sense.
It's such an interesting thing. Like, what was it? Literally, just in case you made the playoffs, were you just trying to keep him there? Which, I mean, they had like a 1% chance, but maybe, I don't know. Yeah, he was a good prospect. He wasn't a great prospect. I think this is very unexpected. It's really hard to judge these situations. I didn't see anything in him that made me go, oh, that's a tough one. Or, like, oh, he absolutely could have won the job last year. And we kind of talked about it on the podcast before the year. If there was any sort of confidence in him, I think they would have rode with him.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't, I feel, was a pretty good indicator that they did not have faith in him.
It also means, I mean, unless I'm missing something, we're getting full-on George in the bowl game.
Well, Joey seems like he's going to play the bowl game.
That's fair. And then I don't know if he'll Senior Bowl circuit or what, but
right. So it does seem like Joey's going to play the bowl game. Maybe that changes, maybe not. Maybe it could be something where they're trying to see about the 6-year first.
Yeah.
We're getting closer. Like, they're probably doing, they're doing bowl practices. So I'm really curious if Joey plays that game, if he wants it. We had this issue with Milton in 23, which is hilarious that Milton did get drafted. So it actually worked out. But there was like, Nico should play no matter what. Screw Joe, do what's best for the program. And that's just not how it's not a video game. So if Joey wants to play, he should play. He's earned the right this year to play. But it would, and especially if there's one scholarship quarterback, in that game, now we're starting talking, some walk-on time. Although Gaston Moore's starting the bowl game, so maybe we can borrow him after that. But I don't think Merck. I wish him luck.
Sure.
I hope he can find on. I just don't think there's anything missing. I don't think we're going to be back in 2 years thinking, like, what in the hell was the staff thinking? I don't think that's going to be an issue at all.
No, I don't either. And then other than that, I'm excited to see kind of what the playtime allocation looks like in the bowl. We'll talk about it more next week. And then, there's still all sorts of interesting stuff to get laid out over the next few weeks from a Vols perspective, but obviously a college football broadly perspective as well.
Is there any young guys that you're wanting to see in the bowl? Like, would you like to see, I'd like to see this guy get 60 snaps.
I'd like to see JVD play a lot.
Okay.
And
him
again,
and Davis,
him and Davis as and again, Kitts, I don't know if he'll play. I know he's been hurt. I don't know if he'll Senior Bowl circuit. I don't know. But for him to play that much as a freshman and have a couple frustrating moments, there's no need to write him off. I think he's extremely talented and physical enough to play as a freshman. And so, yeah, give it to those guys, especially if Brazel's going to be opting out.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about Josephs and West opting out, but I would not be opposed to them sitting this game out and letting Herring and Ross go after the quarterback.
Get after it a little bit. Yeah. And
I'd be cool with that.
And then, he's getting love all over the place now because of how much he improved over the season. But it'll be fun to see Redmond in the bowl game. And I don't know
Yeah.
if Illinois' quarterback will play, but if he does, they throw the ball. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Colton Hood has not made an announcement yet, surprisingly enough. So
interesting.
It is interesting because if he could come back next year, that is a massive, massive victory. It completely changes a ceiling. And I'm not saying that ceiling is high. I'm just saying
It's just a different ceiling.
Yeah, I mean,
we're still crouching down and we're still in the fetal position.
We're still in the crawl space. We're getting the Festivus pole out of the crawl space, but at least it's somewhere. It's rising, right?
Yeah, so. Yeah. Let's also. I mean, I think it it's worth saying. Let's give a shout out to Faison. He won the state title in North Carolina.
Yep. Had some really nice throws.
7A state title at Grimsley, which is in Greensboro. Played really well. And then I'll say this too. So they played, and they typically do this in North Carolina. They probably do it in other states as well. So that game happened at Keenan Stadium, Tar Heel Stadium. The game before that, my alma mater won the state title for 5A. First time in 47 years, capped off an undefeated season that I think everybody thought would be good, but it definitely surprised everyone that we made it all the way there. And so props to those guys. And then right after that, got to watch Faison win it in the same building. And so that was a lot of fun football as we await bowl games and wait 73 days for the playoff games to start, et cetera, et cetera.
Between you and me with this private equity deal that forced Kyle Winningham to leave, I don't know. I might start watching high school football at this point.
It's the only amateur stuff left.
I know, exactly.
So we'll see how the playoff games go this weekend. We'll hit everybody with a bowl preview next week, and then we'll probably talk about those playoff results and just see how close they keep it. We got big games coming, even if some of them have pretty big margins as the prediction. And then, again, it's another slightly long wait until the matchup with the top four gets set. But the fact that it falls on that New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, can't complain about. That's some of my favorite football of the year. So
yes. So just a little schedule note for our listeners. I'm going to be on vacation from December 24th to January 4th, so I will not have my setup or anything like that. We are going to record before Christmas, do the bowl game preview, and then we'll probably come back with the Final Four, Tennessee bowl game. We'll have some clarity on the transfer portal. We'll come back and we'll have a lot to talk about. It might be a 2-episode episode week with SEC play starting with basketball. So we are going to take a week off during the after Christmas New Year's break. So just a heads up there, but we'll get one more episode out for you guys and then we'll start 2026 off.
Perfect. We're locked in right now on Delaware, Louisiana. Obviously, we've had to take our attention away from that barn burner.
Yes.
And so we'll obviously get right back to grinding tape on that. And maybe we'll find a safety on one of these bowl teams that wants to come and don some orange for the next season.
Well, we appreciate you guys so much for listening. Excited for what 2026 brings for Power T Talk. Like I said, one more episode for the year ends, do a bowl preview, and can't wait. Daniel, it's been joy this year so far. Like I said, we'll probably do a little bit more end of year stuff, but I'm happy with the year we've had so far.
I love it, and we'll keep rolling.
Thanks, guys. Go Vols.